for start of the week quote. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. And that was a nice nan, which is, I think, pretty good. And this, my good friends, is Reverend Soni, who says, love never abandons us. Love never abandons us. And this is Bill W., who is the founder of, I think, Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program. Is sobriety all that we are to expect of a spiritual awakening? No. Sobriety is only a bare beginning. It is only the first gift of the first awakening. If more gifts are to be received, our awakening has to go on. So I've never been a part of a 12-step program, so I really am not at liberty to comment on all this, but the way I see it is, we're always on a spiritual path, and when we sort of cross one threshold, then there are more thresholds. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. When you climb a mountain, I don't know if any of you have ever done that, but you chug away and then you see a peak, and you get over that peak and you realize, well, it's not really the peak. And then you keep climbing and you see another peak and you get over that peak, and that's really not the peak. And oftentimes you can get a whole bunch of peaks before you actually reach the true peak at the top. So it's kind of like that. And I need to get back to my reading here on the screen. Ernest Holmes in This Thing Called You says, just keep knocking on the doorway of your consciousness until every no becomes a yes, every negation an affirmation, and every fear a faith. So keep knocking. And this is Reverend Soni, who says, addiction, be it to substances, behavior, or patterns of attachment, isn't merely a habit of the body or the mind. Well, what is it then? It's a spiritual invitation to discover what our heart truly seeks. At its core, addiction reflects a deep longing for connection, love, and safety, things the soul naturally yearns for, but sometimes misunderstands. I wonder if that's the same with multitasking. I looked up multitasking the other day, and it wasn't very reassuring, because I do multitask. And you're really not multitasking. You're really going from one thing to another. You're not really doing more than one thing at one time. And apparently it does distract from us, and it's really not very good for our brains, supposedly. But it's also an addiction, right? Multitasking. When we become bound to anything outside of ourselves as the source of fulfillment, we search for love in places that cannot ultimately satisfy us. Okay? Many recovery traditions, including spiritual pathways and 12-step approaches, recognize that people often become powerless over an addiction. Why? Because their deeper spirit has not yet been fully acknowledged or embraced. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day about reaching rock bottom, and this person actually had hit rock bottom before he'd started to really get back on his feet again. And in the discussion, the general consensus was that, yeah, sometimes we have to hit rock bottom. Spiritually understood, love is the divine current that does what? Animates life. It's the unconditional presence that never abandons us, even when we're struggling. And in spiritual recovery work, she says, healing begins not with resisting addiction through force, but opening our hearts to the source of love that dwells within us. This doesn't mean pretending that there is no pain and there is no struggle. Rather, it means inviting love into places where we feel scared, weak, and alone. She goes on to say, when divine love is present, we realize addiction isn't an enemy to be conquered by sheer will, but it's a teacher guiding us to surrender our false sources of security and rest in Spirit's embrace. She says, bring conscious love into the spaces where you feel the pull of addiction. love does not feed the addiction. It feeds the wound beneath it, the place where your heart longs to be seen. So maybe I should have been part of a 12-step program that deals with multitasking. I don't know, but anyway, I am making a conscious effort to do less multitasking. But I wonder why we multitask. I guess it's because we're bored, you know. I don't know. Obviously, we're trying to fulfill something inside of us, which is what this reading is all about. It's fulfilling some longing or need within us, but doing it in a way that isn't constructive, but doesn't help us at all. So that's what this reading is all about. I release what binds me and open to the divine love that heals, restores, and renews my life. That was the affirmation. I release what binds me and I open to the divine love that does what? Heals, restores, and renews my life. And if you know me, I prefer shorter affirmations. Why? Because I think they're easier to remember, they're easy to repeat. And I guess because I've liked mantras, you know, so, and a mantra and an affirmation can be kind of the same thing, right? So, well, Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow. I forgot what she's reading, and I really should tell you guys what she's reading at 9:15 in the mornings, Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page. And, well, that's my wife in the background there. It's probably coming in over the microphone. I apologize. So I will see you next time tomorrow. Oh, it'll either be 4 o'clock or 8:30, one or the other. I'm not quite sure which yet. So until next time, namaste.